Motherfucker.
Every Thursday night on Grid Extra. I think we played everything we're going to watch.
Oh, shit.
Flashworks. I know Rule 62 is so as to give people space where they get off the elevator, but this is really important. I don't waste time.
What is it?
I think I know why Parcel blew up the SUV.
Sometimes rules are meant to be broken. So, that's what you guys call each other, right?
Excuse me.
How can I help you? We're detectives from NYPD, Sergeant Boyd is expecting.
Oh my God, you should have said you were from New York City. I'm mortified. Why don't you park me over here?
I'm driving. This is dope. You think this parking lot is dope when you get out of the open road? It's super dope. I might even call it the doping road.
I used to call you dope today.
Oh, can I stop here?
Okay.
Just slowly press the brake. There we go. Now put it in park.
Okay.
Very good for first try. Hey, so you have any questions?
Yeah. What the hell is this bee thing I'm sitting on?
Massage your back.
It's on something, but it's not my back.
Well, just relax. Let it happen.
Okay, got another question. If there are only two pedals, why can I only use one foot?
Well, you can only press either the brake or the gas, one at a time. Otherwise, you'll get really mixed up.
One foot does all the work while the other one just hangs out.
That's right, just like you and me at the shop. Okay, let's take another lap.
Yeah.
This time I'll work on parallel parking.
Oh, that's my favorite of all the puns.
Oh, cops! Switch! Why are you panicking?
Chicago cops is a black dude driving an old white dude's car without no license. Won't be a hashtag by sundown.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm not reaching in my pocket in front of a cop. That's a leading cause of death amongst African American men. Oh, look, wait. Yes! It's a black cop.
Whoa! It's an emotional roller coaster with you.
You've been circling this parking lot for almost an hour. Can I see your license?
This ain't a threat.
That ain't even tripping, man. So what's going on here? Is this some kind of blast house situation? Different strokes? Dropping Mr. Daisy?
It's complicated, man.
I feel you.
Oh, shit.
Look, officer, I'm just teaching the kid how to drive.
I'm just teaching the kid how to drive. Do people even do that anymore? Man, I seen this story this morning that they charging his mama. Hold on, let me find it. They charging his mama with her 11-year-old son's charge cases. They said that her 11-year-old son been committing robberies and carjackings, and in the state that they in, they can't he can't be criminally charged. So what they said is they charged the mama, 34-year-old woman, with every crime that her child do. They said because if they can't punish him, they gonna punish her because ain't no way your son should be out. So they charged her with let's see, let me make sure I don't wanna be wrong. They charged her with 4 counts of carjacking and 3 counts of armed robbery. That's crazy that he's sitting at home and his mama sitting in jail with a $150,000 bond. I keep telling folks, man, shit, they gonna start holding people accountable for their children. And did y'all see that it was breaking news today that Trump sending in the National Guard into 19 states? And can you guess what them 19 states are? Tennessee, Memphis, Chicago, Illinois, California, Florida, Arkansas, Houston, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Them folks is sending the National Guard Army in them folks, man. And what's so crazy, a lot of these folks didn't even know that these folks already been building the National Guard Army up in their cities. They wasn't paying attention. They wasn't paying attention. Because they said it. I told you folks, I said, man, ain't no way that them folks gonna constantly keep letting these juveniles get away with the things that they doing without them eventually sending somebody in. And that's what they done. They sent the National Guard Army into all these states, 19 states. People don't realize that they finna wake up with army tanks riding around in their cities. Y'all finna wake up with military men walking around in y'all neighborhoods, in them projects, and all that, man. It's already, I kept telling people, man, people wasn't even paying attention to the serious things that's going on in the world, and I kept telling people, they're gonna send the National Guard Army into Memphis, man. And you had all these individuals in the world that was on my page, and they was like, they can't do that. The National Guard can't go into a city and in America, they can't be on the. Y'all dealing with a madman. His name is Donald J. Trump. And he said the whole reason that he was bringing in the National Guard Army in all these different cities is because he trying to bring down the crime. He said it's common sense that the police can't do what they need to be doing because they're outgunned, they're outnumbered, and the thing about the federal government and the National Guard, you ain't got to worry about police getting overtime and because them folk get paid a check no matter how many hours they work because they are the army. So what they're saying is that we can cut back on the manpower of the police officers that's working 3-4 hours. 3-4 shifts back to back, and paying these people when the crime is still not going down. They said we're going to be able to do a lot more checkpoints. People don't understand these folks are fit to set up checkpoints because another factor of the whole situation was he said it's going to help curb immigration. He said when they bring in the National Guard Army to these 19 states, just like they did Washington, D.C., he said it's going to curb the immigration. And it's a big point that people don't understand. People say, well, if you bring the military into the streets, it's going to bring more chaos. No, it's not. No, it's not, because you're going to have a lot of them people, them young folks, that think they playing GTA and think that they tough. Gonna see them military, them officers, and they gonna know them folk trained to go to war with any and everything. And they ain't gonna want to go to war with them. They ain't gonna pop at them like they do the police. Because if they pop at them folks like they do the police, them folks gonna surround them projects, surround them areas, and they gonna attack them folks like it's Baghdad, man. They're gonna attack them folks like it's Baghdad. I tell people all the time, man, if you don't pay attention to the world and the things that's going on in the world, you're gonna miss out on a lot. You're gonna miss out on a lot. And when I say miss out on a lot, you're gonna miss out on the things that these people are telling you that's fit to happen to try to save lives. They telling you that they're gonna bring in the National Guard in these cities. Not bring them in, they already there. They already there. You know what I mean? I've been watching these army trucks go up and down the interstates for the last month. I've been watching trains with army trucks and army Humvees riding up and down on these trains, on these railroad tracks for the last month. And I was paying attention to a lot of things, and I was the directions they was going. And the thing that these people are telling us now is that the Pentagon has already been setting up National Guard troops and weaponry to protect the citizens of the cities in the United States, man. I never thought it would get to the point where we would be running around and there'd be army soldiers walking up and down the neighborhoods, patrolling the blocks. But this is what it's came to. It has come to the point where we finna see something that only third world countries deal with on a daily basis. And that's dealing with National Guard and dealing with army soldiers in your streets instead of the police. Because what people don't understand is when Trump sent in the National Guard go in any state, the National Guard takes authority. The federal government takes authority of that state. That means the police chief he ain't shit. That means the police, they ain't shit. That means everything goes through a colonel or a general. Because the National Guard Army general is going to be the one in control of each one of them states, and they're going to have a general in each one of them states or a colonel. Someone to say, go do this and do that. You know, it's sad. You know what I mean? I've been on this earth 46 years, and I never thought that it would come to this point right here. But I know it should have been happening. Because there's too many people in this world that lose their life to a lot of these juvenile crimes every day. There's too many mass shootings going on in Chicago. There's too many mass shootings going on around the United States that people just say statistic and push it to the side when people lose their lives. You know, and people screaming out loud and hollering to the world that they need help in their cities, man. People in Memphis are screaming out every day for somebody to save them because the police ain't saving them and the government ain't saving them, man. You got Chicago still complaining when they got the most highest drug overdose, the highest murder rate, the highest rape rate in the United States, but you got the governors and politicians and mayors in Chicago and Illinois talking about we don't need no help. If anybody needs some help, it's Chicago, man. Chicago is so, I'm telling you, them people don't understand. When them folk go up in there, they gonna send the National Guard Army up in the O Block. Y'all folks don't understand that the first place that the National Guard Army is going to be set up and post up at is going to be in high crime areas. That's projects, that's apartment complexes. Them folk going to have Army Humvees parked in front of apartment complexes and projects, and they going to be checking IDs of everybody to go in and out them folks, man. They're going to be checking IDs. They're going to make sure that don't nobody be on government property that don't belong on government property. Are you going to jail? And when people don't understand, when you send the National Guard Army into a city, you declaring martial law. You declaring that the United States government, the federal government, has took control of a city that lost control. That's what it says. Because every individual city has a law enforcement agent that's supposed to protect the citizens in that community. But sometimes they lose the war because there's too much crime and not enough people to fight the crime. And the situation that we don't came to now is where we got too many guns on the streets, too many children out here killing people. Is it's out of control. You know, it ain't like you got a shooting here or a shooting there. All day long, it's a mass shooting somewhere in the United States every second of the day. I remember when I was growing up, it was mass shootings. Only time you heard a word called mass, it was like a school shooting or something like that. But now, every time that someone loses their life, it's a mass shooting. Multiple people shot, and the description is always the description. Young children dressed in all black. Not black, not young white, not young Asian, young children, meaning that all colors. Little white boys out here robbing and killing and stealing just like little black boys and little Asian boys. And, you know, it ain't no certain color that they can point to and say that the crime is more of because of color. It's not that type of situation. You got to look at, you can't even say the age bracket because you got 9 and 10, 11-year-old little kids out here, boys and girls, carjacking and robbing people, man. And a lot of states in the United States never imagine having to punish an 11 or a 12-year-old for a crime such as murder or carjacking. So them people ain't even caught up with the laws. So when they catch these individuals that are a certain age, they can't even charge them people. A lot of people don't know that. It's certain states that if a 10-year-old go down the street right now and shoot 7 people and kill them people, they can't even charge him with murder. Can't even charge him with murder. Only thing they can do is try to commit him to a psycho ward or something to try to get him some help, but they can't detain him for a long period of time unless they get a court order for some kind of psychological problem. So you don't came to the point where a lot of people don't understand that people use juveniles, children to commit crimes to get away with, the crime. They use them as children mules. They use them as children soldiers. But a lot of these things was never seen in America. America never seen children be used as weapons. But we've seen other countries. We've seen other countries do it over and over. That's how we end up with what they call the Lost Boys that came over here to America because they was children soldiers. They was 6, 7-year-old little boys that them folk put a rifle in their hand and told them go shoot them folks. But now you don't have to make a child army when these children are so influenced by the internet and the people on the internet. They see these trends, they see these kids breaking in gun stores. They see them holding up guns. They see them glorifying being gang members. They do it all. And then they see the grown people and a lot of these rich individuals such as rappers, entertainers, they all out, I'm a gang member. I shot this, I did that. So they like, I don't gotta look to change my life. Only thing I gotta do is make it to a certain point and I'll be like him. But they don't understand that sometimes you don't make it to them points. Because when you playing the games in the street, sometimes somebody take your life. Everybody don't make it to glory and fame and be able to have them conversations about the things that they done in their 20s and 30s because people took their lives when they was in their 20s and 30s, and some of them didn't even make it out their teens. Because nowadays you got so many children that's walking around in this world, and every day they wake up, they thinking about trying to go take something. They thinking about how to take something. They don't know how to do like when I was growing up. On a weekend, my whole focus was I might go mow some yards and make me some money. I might go pick some cans up, make me some money. This when I was real young, before I started hustling. You feel me? But my mindset was on something different at age 10, 11 years old than these children are now, man. Shit, I ain't even started thinking about pussy till I was like 12. First time I bumped up into a little girl and my little wee wee got hard. You know, but these little motherfuckers, they ain't thinking about that. They don't think about women. They don't think about girls. These young motherfuckers think about gangs. They think about guns. They fascinated with things that don't even make no sense to me. You know, they snort and pop everything that somebody on made in bath time booking. You know, only because these rappers and shit say, I knew the pill was fake, but I popped it anyway because I'm a gremlin. So now you got these individual children. They want to be gremlins. But they end up being zombies, walking around like the living dead because they don't got addicted to certain kind of drugs, are influenced by certain individuals to end up with, long-term problems. Because people don't understand when you're dealing with things like fentanyl and stuff like that them type of drugs is meant for like cancer patients and people that are terminally ill that are about to leave this earth. So it doesn't matter how much they ingest because it still ain't gonna make no difference. But if you are a healthy individual and you putting that in your body, you killing things in your body that your body need to live with. And a lot of people don't understand that. People don't understand that people always holler out that you can turn up in your 20s and 30s and try everything, Molly, any kind of drug. Sometimes when people try them motherfucking drugs, they end up addicted to other drugs, or they end up losing their mind, or losing their livelihood, or losing this and losing that. You got to realize sometimes that it's better to be stacking than be trying to fall into the trend of what's going on. You know, you can't do that. You know. But my focus is to let people know, don't be shocked when you wake up in the morning and you live in public housing or you live in some projects or some apartments that y'all been glorifying. Just got the highest murder rate and y'all out there putting folks in the bag. And when y'all wake up, y'all see them army soldiers jumping out of helicopters and planes, landing on the roofs of them buildings, man. Because they coming. And some of them are already there. They already there. They already there. And there's a lot of people that's happy. You can believe that there's gonna be a lot of older people that work every day to get what they deserve. They're gonna be happy to see them army soldiers. They're gonna be walking out there trying to get them army soldiers lemonade and cookies and milk, and they're gonna be like, hey, you know there's a crack house down the street down there, and them folk gonna go down there and kick the door in. You know, and I don't understand. It's another thing that people ain't been paying attention to. They building what you would call mini Alcatrazes all around the United States in fields. Because people was like, how they gonna detain all these criminals and all these undocumented people? But then I've been watching the news and they've been throwing up these called alligator Alcatrazes in every state in a field. They've been throwing them up in fields, man. when people been looking around thinking they was over there building houses and building plants, them folks are building mobile prisons. They building mobile prisons, man. You know, they building mobile prisons. You know, that's what people think they are. People riding by areas, and then like if you don't watch the world news, your local news ain't gonna tell you that, man. The local news ain't gonna tell you that them folks down the street doing this, because local news don't wanna bring a stinks to their cities. They still want people to come to their cities and spend money like tourists. So them folks hold back on certain stories when you talking about crime in downtown areas such as rapes, robberies. Them folks ain't gonna put all them on the news because they don't want people to be scared or deterred from coming to their cities and spending that money. They don't. They don't. That's why when people look at my page and they be like, man, I live in this city and I didn't even know that happened. They be like, man, I live in this city and I didn't know that happened downtown, man. How you didn't know that when you was already, because them folks didn't put it on y'all TV because they didn't want nobody to know. Now you just scratching and scratching. Cause ain't nothing on you scratching and scratching. God damn, what the fuck? Oh, shit. What's up with you, man? Whew, shit, I'm trying to tell people, man. It's gonna go down in a minute. I'm trying to tell people that the National Guard is for to be in your city and be prepared. Be prepared for the National Guard to be in your cities because they're there. And they just like, people don't understand, like when I was telling people about your local news is never ever gonna want you to know that there's a lot of crime going on in your city. Because they want people to come visit them. They want people to come see their cities. They want people to come spend money like tourists. Ain't nobody gonna go to Memphis if they know the truth about Memphis. Who in their right mind gonna go to Bell Street when you look at the news and I tell you that it's been nothing but rapes and robberies and carjackings on Bell Street? Why would you want to go to Bell Street? You know what I mean? A lot of people don't understand that the world news is the best news you can ever listen to, man. When an individual like me tell you stories about everything around the United States, you know, you don't know. You know, and people don't understand that every day is a blessing. It's a blessing, man. It's a real, true blessing. And if you ain't taking advantage of that blessing, then you playing. Whew. Don't forget to support the channel. And anytime you want to hear the real, you know what it is. You see my live pop up, it ain't no real shit going on, man.
Comes in a package I just purchased. Over 26 years, you're in and out of jail for